Bob, one of the great questions of human existence is, can we survive death? This is a common thought of human cultures, human individuals throughout all history. I am certainly not immune to it myself. Can we learn anything about this from the nature of dreaming? The history of dreaming, people used to think that that had a lot of relationship to life after death or communication with spirits or things like that. We're certainly not in that state anymore, but is there anything about dreaming that can help us to discern what's going on?
Well, dreaming and maybe neuroscience in general gives us some clues as to what appears to be possible. And I say that with respect that there could always be things that we completely don't understand and can't see yet from a scientific perspective involved. But what we see, for example, in dreaming is that we can create, and all of us do every night, another world in which we exist. And it can be a very full and rich world. And it's not the world that we're actually physically in. So whatever we have in the way of a mind and consciousness has the ability to create that. And that's important because it's something that you would never guess just looking at a brain. But the concern I have about the issue of life after death is that if there were a soul or a spirit in us, which is the source of our consciousness, it doesn't look good for an afterlife because we know that if you destroy parts of the brain, that the relevant parts of consciousness are lost. So if it is a spirit or a soul that sees and feels and thinks and loves, we know that if you destroy visual cortex, the soul can no longer see. If you destroy auditory cortex, the soul can no longer hear. If you destroy the hippocampus, the soul can no longer remember. That if you destroy other regions of the brain, the soul can no longer remember how to do things. If you destroy motor cortex, the soul can no longer control the body. If you can destroy the amygdala, the soul can no longer feel fear or anger. So there's regions of the brain that are critical for love and for excitement and for happiness and for knowing who your family members are. So we know that whatever is in us now can't function in terms of a soul or a spirit, can't function if those brain regions are taken away. So I have a hard time wrapping my mind around the concept that after you die, somehow that spirit can leave the body and now do all these things that it couldn't do.
So let me give you an answer to that.
Okay.
I'm not saying I believe it, but here's an answer. And that is the so-called ghost in the machine. And you can use an analogy that you're driving a car. And the driver, is the analogy to the ghost, and the machine is your brain. And if you don't have any tires, you can try to drive as much as you're not going to go very far. The spark plug's not working, you can't do this. The air conditioner's not working, the weather is not, the temperature is not going to be very good. Mm-hmm. And so all of the different functions you as the driver try to do, but you need the functions that you have. And so one argument says that the spirit or the soul, whatever you want to say, this immaterial thing, is the driver of the car, and the car is the brain. Then what happens when you die? You don't have the car anymore. The car disintegrates, your brain disintegrates. So then you need a resurrection. You need a resurrection of the body, which, if there is a God, God can do. If God can make the universe in the first place, he can make a resurrection. And so you then reunify, in some way, this soul, which had no sentience without the body, with a body. So now I just gave you a way how to do it.
Okay, so now you're going to create a new body.
Create a new body.
With a new brain.
A new brain, yeah, it could have some of the
Not
same
the old
the same old memories. I mean, you don't have to use the same molecules. We don't have the same molecules today that you had yesterday.
So it's going to create an exact replica of the brain.
Yeah, I'm not God. I can't tell you exactly how I'm going to do it. I try to be, but that's okay.
So we create an exact replica of this person's brain. So there wasn't a soul in the first place. It was just a brain.
Well, I mean, maybe that's right. But if you had a soul, or you had some sort of I don't particularly like the word soul; it has a lot of connotations to it. But some sort of an immaterial substance that may not be conscious without a brain. It's impossible to be conscious without a brain. But that's sort of what you need to have to go from a behavioral zombie, a philosophical zombie, to internal sentience. You need something like that.
And so now we have a brain in a body, and they're physical matter again.
And there's some kind of physical matter again, and you reunite this
and they're
stuff.
somewhere in the universe.
Somewhere in spatial temporal time.
Okay.
Yeah, you resurrect the body, you put that immaterial thing back into it, and you reunite it, and works again.
Works for me. but I don't see where it comes in. I mean, it still feels irrelevant somehow. That's the only issue to me. But no, you've convinced me. I thought the spirit went off and had a life of its own. But if you're going to
some people teach that.
If you're going to put it into a physical body, that is an exact simulacrum of the old body. Well, I don't know. Are you as old as you? Okay, we won't go there, right? But into the same brain. So the same synaptic connections exist that a neuroscientist would say store the memories. Then if there's a value-added substance that makes consciousness,
right,
then you should be able to take it out of this one and put it into that one. Of course, this one's dead now, right? The new one?
The new one is just been recreated. I mean, it has the same information patterns. It doesn't have to be the same specific molecules.
But isn't that old one dead?
Well, the old one is disintegrated.
But I mean, isn't it incapable of supporting activity? I mean, what if you died? What if you died slowly with brain tumors? When you're in which body?
I can work all this out if you like.
Oh,
I could give you all the answers. I just don't.
Okay.
I doubt if any of them are right.
Well, except
you have to pick a body that makes sense. I mean,
but okay, so you've got a body that has become severely impaired. Is the idea that when you're resurrected?
Look, if you have a God, God can do whatever God wants. If you don't have a God, none of this makes any sense. That's the bottom line.
Oh well, if you have a God, then you don't. Then all bets. Then it's fine with me that he takes the spirit out of your body and it exists all by itself with properties that it previously needed a body for.
You could do it any way you want. I agree with that.
I'm happy with that.